Hey man, what's going on?
How you doing? How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good, really good. Congratulations on the new EP.
Thank you, my friend. Very excited about it. It's getting a lot of good reviews. It's getting a great response, and it's a long time coming. So I'm very proud of it.
Cool, cool. Now, not only do you have a new EP with 5 new songs, you also have a completely new band. Can you tell me anything about the band members?
Well, the fifth has been my labor of love. It's been my baby, for the past 2 decades. So I've had some great band members in the past, but I must say, without any reservations, this is the best lineup that I've ever had. My drummer's Gary Zeus Smith on drums and vocals, Justin Womble on lead guitar and vocals, and Jake Tripp on bass and vocals. And like I said, I've had some great members in the past, but the chemistry of this group of guys and the musicianship has taken the band to a new level, and you get the result on the new EP.
Wow, cool. The band been around at least 20 years. Did you yourself start the band back in 2001?
Correct. When I left Los Angeles and I moved to Atlanta for a couple of years, I stayed in Atlanta for about 5 years, and then when after 5 years of LA and my cold sweat experience, and then 5 years in Atlanta, and I decided to move back to North Carolina when my father passed away. I started the fifth around 2001. So what started out as just something to make a little bit of some spare change, a couple playing some covers and stuff like that. Eventually started writing original music, eventually started putting out music. It's been just a slow, steady progression, a labor of love, and, just something that I've always, done, which is I've always been a singer and entertainer, and I've always wanted to make sure that I had music in my life. So the fifth has been my vehicle.
Cool, cool, cool. Now, is there any story behind the name The Fifth? Does it stand for anything?
I get asked that question a lot. It does actually, it doesn't stand for anything, but it stands for everything. I actually come up with it when I used to work at a strip club in Atlanta, and when I used to count table dances, you would do the traditional, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put a slash in the middle through it for five.
Right.
And I looked at it, and I'm like, wow, five, the fifth. I pictured it on a hat, a T-shirt, a kick drum. I'm like, the fifth, the fifth. I'm like, hey, that's a pretty cool little name right there. I'm gonna put that one away. And years later, fast forward when I moved back and I was looking to put together a musical project, the fifth made a lot of sense. It could mean a fifth of liquor, the fifth dimension, the fifth commandment, the fifth the Fifth Amendment. I mean, there's
Right.
just there's so many places that you can go with it. So I also find it highly ironic that there's only 4 members in the fifth.
Right. Right.
And I'd like to think that the fifth member is the fans. So that's how I'd like to look at it.
Right. Now, the earlier sound was more aggressive, modern rock, metal sound. With some of the band's early influences, what were they?
Well, when I put the band together back then, that was kind of the sound. I was kind of trying to get away from my cold sweat, 80s, hair metal kind of association, so to speak. So, this would, the earlier fifth material was definitely more around the creeds and the fuel and the, early shine downs and Godsmack and stuff like that. It was drop D,
Right.
and it was more on the aggressive end. But as, the band's career continued to go on, and we started getting a couple of festival dates that were obtained through my past with Cold Sweat, it kind of made us realize, hey, we've got this group of people and this sound that people, really attribute to myself and that era. And that's why this go round we kind of embraced that. Justin the guitarist,
Right.
he's a young buck, but he grew up with the Shredders. He grew up idolizing those guys, and those were the ones that he learned how to play from. So it was easy for us to write a mid late 80s, early 90s hard rock record. You know what I mean? It was easy for us to go back there because that was part of our lineage. especially myself.
Cool, cool. Uh, the sound of the new EP is a slight change from the fifth's earlier sound. The songs seem a bit more influenced between the 80s and 90s sound with bands like the Badlands, Tesla, Whitesnake. Was this due to the influences of the new members, or just direct? You wanted to explore something different?
Well, in my previous answer that I just touched on, it was basically from us playing those festivals in front of those audiences that remembered me from Cold Sweat, which was signed at the end of the '80s and early '90s. So, Justin was already that type of player. He liked that type of sound. So, it was easy for us to write this when it was more or less just letting our influences flow.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun writing this record. There was, there's never any creative restraints put on the process when we're writing. But this one, the initial demos that Justin gave me and the ones that I decided to write on were these, and they just kind of had that sound, and I just went with it.
Right. Now, who does all the songwriting? You?
Justin, generally, the guitarist comes to me with a riff,
Right.
and I'll generally take it from there and come up with the vocal melodies and the harmonies. I'll make some arrangement suggestions. The rest of the guys put in their 2 cents. It's very much a band collaborative effort once me and Justin kind of get the initial ingredients put together.
Cool, cool. Now you have a new video you just released, Shake Little Sister. Can you tell me anything about the video, or, did you enjoy it?
Well, this was a lot of fun because it was the first time I was involved with a 2-day video shoot. We got to work with a great young up-and-coming director, Jaden Frost, who is from the area here in North Carolina. So I'd already was familiar with Jaden and was following his career when he was, very, very young. And we actually, had contact with each other when he was first doing his first couple of videos. But fast forward 10 years later, he ends up doing this video for us, and it was a blast, man. I mean, we did some scouting. We found the perfect location. We found a great little bar in Benson, North Carolina called Pitchers Bar, and they opened their doors to us, and they let us bring in all that craziness for 2 days. It was a lot of fun.
Right, right. Now, the fifth had, some of your music featured on TV shows and commercials over the year. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we've been very fortunate that, through the connections and also through management and just from luck and having good material, we've been fortunate enough to get a couple of our songs put in some, prominent, bumpers for television commercials, and television shows for like Grey's Anatomy, and we were on a spot for Dancing with the Stars. There were a couple of Olympic commercials for Dodge Ram that we got involved with. But there's also a whole lot of UFC spots that some of our earlier music has been used on, but it's a great way to kind of have your stamp on it, and it's also really kind of neat whenever you're watching a national television show with like Dancing with the Stars. And the commercial that we were in, they were all in a pickup truck and they were scanning through the through the radio, and one of the channels that they come across was me screaming my brains out on a song called "Been Here Before." So man, I mean, we've been very fortunate to have those little highlights throughout the band's 20-year career, and it's been a great ride, and it continues to get better.
Cool, cool. Now, you started off with a band called Gibraltar. Was that your first band?
That was my first band, my first real band. I was basically at the age of 15. I started singing in the local bars around here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is a military town. And, from the age of 15 on up, my dad managed my band. I played up and down the East Coast for a good 9 years almost, from Pennsylvania, excuse me, all the way down to Florida, and until I kind of got my lucky break and got the chance to get the Cold Sweat audition and go out to Los Angeles. But it's been a lot of stages, a lot of singing, a lot of miles.
Wow, cool, cool. With Cold Sweat, you hooked up with Mark Ferrari from Kiel. How is it working with him, and how'd you hook up with him?
Well, Mark's a great guy, and it's a very ironic and kind of, happenstance kind of story on how it happened. My band Gibraltar was playing down in Florida for a week at a place called the Button South in Allendale. This guy comes up to me at 2:00, 2:30 in the morning, hammered, and he's telling me that he's friends with this guy that used to sing in a band that's managed by Wendy Dio, and Mark Ferrari's the guitar player, but anyway, he's quitting the band and they need a singer, and I'm perfect. And here's Mark Ferrari's phone number.
Right.
And, by that time, I'd already been on the bar scene for about 9 years. I was a veteran, so, I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I take this guy's phone number, and I put it in my stage pants and, carry on. So a couple days later, when the band were out on the road, we have to do our laundry. I go through my pockets and find the phone number, and come to find out, make the phone call. It was Mark, and I fly out to get on an airplane for the first time. I fly out on Monday, I audition on Wednesday, and I'm signing a record deal on Friday, and we go right into pre-production and recording of the record. And my parents had to mail my clothes to me.
Wow.
So it was really fast.
Cool. Now, Cold Sweat reformed for the Monsters of Rock tour in 2020. How is it to play with them again as a band?
It was fantastic, magic. I don't want to sound corny and hokey and cliche, but seeing those guys after 27 years, and we had some differences. The band broke up, unceremoniously. Due to just bad business decisions and internal bullshit because of business, not really because of anything else. But to finally put all that stuff behind us and walk into a room together after 27 years and count the shit off and just be like, shit, and it was that. It was really, it was magic. We got to do the pre-cruise show, the pre-cruise concert in Miami at this casino, Magic City Casino, and that show was just on fire, man. It was killer, and the show on the boat was amazing. And we've got some more life in us. Cold Sweat will do something eventually in the future, but right now, we're just everybody's got their lives and their wives and their other projects and things going on, and as do I. And when the time's right, we'll get together again. But we did record some material. We recorded the live show on the boat, and it will eventually end up getting released.
Cool. Now, after Cold Sweat disbanded, you started Sweating Bullets, and you did some demos. Can you tell us a little bit about that time?
Well, when we brought Billy DeVette in and we went into the Sweatin' Bullet stage, it was basically, in Los Angeles at any rate, it was the death rattle of hair metal. The labels didn't care about you. If you were in Metal Edge magazine and you smiled, that was it. You were fucking done. They weren't going to sign you. So, we felt like we had some good momentum after the first record, and we thought with Wendy as our manager, we would be able to put some demos together and get something relatively quick, and it was just a timing thing. It wasn't that the songs were bad. It wasn't that the band was bad. Mark not being in the band definitely took some shine off of it, but it was just the timing. Grunge was taking over. They weren't interested in pretty bands and hair bands at all. So.
Right. Wow. Cool. Cool. Now, recently I was watching YouTube and I saw Bandland's cover High Wire that you guys did. Was Ray Gillen an influence on you at all?
I would say later on later on I admired Ray's work. I cut my teeth early in my career on the classics. I was a Rob Halford, Bruce Dickinson, Ronnie James Dio, Plant kind of Freddie Mercury guy.
Right.
So I of course, when I heard Badlands, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, and that was a great singer. And I was lucky enough to do a couple of shows with Badlands with Cold Sweat back in the day. And Ray was a great singer. Me and him have a very similar tone.
Uh-huh.
So I enjoy singing his stuff because it's in my wheelhouse.
Cool, cool. Is there anything else coming up that you like to talk about?
Well, we're excited about 2022. We're working on a full-length follow-up. We have some major announcements that are in the works that I can't say, but there's cool shit coming. We've got shows that we're booking. We're working with a new agency. We've got a little southern winter tour that we're planning sometime in February of 2022. Things are moving along. We're just trying to go at a cautious pace post-COVID, and try and make a slow and steady progress.
Cool. How can people get in contact with you or the band?
We're in the process of putting our website together, but you can always find us on social media. Of course, on Facebook, we're under The Fifth. I believe it's The Fifth Music. And we're also on Instagram. So don't do the Twitter thing. We probably should, but like I said, we're in the midst of getting an actual website put together.
Cool,
so cool. They'll be able to find us there, but you can always find us on Facebook. Just look up The Fifth.
Cool. Congratulations once again on the new EP. Make sure people pick it up, and thanks very much for the little chat, Roy, and congratulations once again.
Thank you, my friend. I'm glad we were able to make this happen finally, Brian. I appreciate you.
Cool. Thanks very much, man. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Have a great night, buddy.
Bye-bye.